So good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's guest photography webinar. Hi, Simon. How you doing, mate?
Very well, mate. Good evening.
It's great to have you with us. We've been talking about it for a long time. You've been working for a long
We
time
are.
alongside us with the Photographer Academy, and it's just perfect timing today to actually have you online with us tonight with the exciting launch of the new ELC 125 and 500s, which we're going to talk about a bit later. So we
Yep.
couldn't have timed it better. Simon, before I hand it over, I know we've got some great images that you're going to take everybody through and how you designed them, how you created them, and obviously created them with the Elinchrom lighting. Just give us a little bit of a background to, obviously who you are, what you do in the industry, and of course now the Light Doctor as well.
Okay. Yeah, I've been in the industry, it seems, for just over 30 years now. I know I don't look old enough, especially on that picture that you're showing there. That's a good couple of years old. But I've seen the industry from all sides. I started when I was 15 in a camera shop working on Saturdays, and it went over to a full-time job, and then ended up managing several camera shops up until my early 20s. Always wanted to be a rep out on the road, and worked for lots of companies over the years, getting the knowledge and experience, and worked on a pro lab for a good number of years, hand printing and processing E6 and C41, for those of you that remember that. Yeah, I've worked for the Flash Centre unofficially now for about 15 years. I used to do a lot of shows for them, and I think just over 11 years employed. So I was a wedding photographer for just over 20 years in my spare time, and I just love making images. That's I get a lot of time to play and testing out new equipment, assisting photographers all over the country and some of Europe as well. So I'm quite lucky. I'm well travelled, but I just love talking about lighting. I love playing with lighting, manipulating, shaping light, and passing on the knowledge as well, which is where the Light Doctor came from, really.
Brilliant. So the Light Doctor is obviously your teaching program. So you do one-to-one mentoring and workshops and so on. And obviously how you've got involved with us more. I mean, you've always been around us, which is great. But obviously now we've got you as an Academy Master as well, which is fantastic. Mate, well, look, I've had a sneaky peek of what you're going to talk about and the images that we're going to go through. We're going to, obviously, we have the exclusive reveal. Well, it's out there. It's out there now, the new ELC lighting systems. So I will. We're going to talk about those after you've gone through your inspiration bit there. So, any questions or queries that you have for Simon on what we're talking about? Simon, let me give you the screen, my friend. So it should prompt you to share your screen, and I'll tell you that I can see everything before I go quiet. There we go. Yeah, I've got your full screen and your slide mode all in front of me. So guys, any questions or queries you have for Simon, please pop them to the question panel. I'll ask them where appropriate. We've got plenty of time at the end. Simon, I'm going to go quiet on you. It's all yours, mate.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in and seeing what I do. Obviously, I'm known mainly as the Simon from the Flash Centre. I think a lot of people were surprised when I started putting images up and entering competitions, and I quite often get asked to dissect images to show exactly how I light things. I'm a big fan of controlling light and also mixing different light sources together. So you'll see quite a few of my images look quite technical, but actually when you see the lighting diagrams, you'll actually notice that quite a lot of it is fairly simple. I am, by my own admission, quite a lazy photographer, and if I don't have to get out 5 lights to do a shot, I won't do it. I like to sort of mix and match. One of my biggest passions is actually making the image look as natural as possible. So I like to match light for light, and what I mean by that is if I'm in a very diffused outdoor situation with lots of heavy cloud cover and the light is very soft, I'll match the light quality with my choice of modifier to match that quality, because obviously you don't want a hard light source hitting the subject because it just looks odd and it looks just a little bit unnatural. So again, on the flip side, if I'm outside, it's really, really harsh sunshine, maybe I'm away abroad on a beach somewhere, then I'll match that light quality and choose my modifier carefully to match my surroundings, again, to make it look as natural as possible. So without further ado, I'm going to move on to the first image. This image got me quite a high mark at the Master Photographers Association Annual Awards a couple of years ago, and it's still one of my most favorite images. This happened by accident, really. It was a bit of a test. It looked to be quite technical, and I suppose from a point of view where the back of the staircase, you've got a big window, so natural light was flying in from there. You've got the two big chandeliers either side that give you your sort of tungsten feel to it, and the girl just looked very, very flat on the stairs. So for me to kind of just tickle her a little bit with some light to pop her out of the image was kind of key. And, you know, playing around and testing different ideas. My flash sync speed obviously would be 1/25th, but it's not going to then give me the time to record the ambient light from the window above. It's not going to give me time to expose properly for the chandeliers. So this was shot about a 15th of a second, and you can just see the highlights on the dress where the flash has picked out the detail, just to kind of pop her out of the image more than anything else. This is one of my most favorite images that I've shot in the last couple of years, for all of those reasons. Really, it was kind of an experiment, and it worked really, really nicely. I'd like to go back and do this again with a different concept and see if I could make it any better, but that's the first image. So let's move on to the second. Actually, no, I'm going to show you the lighting diagram just to show you how easy it was. This is basically the setup in its bare bones. We've obviously got the sun behind the subject coming down the staircase. The two orange lights obviously depict the chandeliers on either side, and then a softbox just very, very gently feathered across the edge of the subject just to highlight everything that we need to, and controlling the light so that it doesn't spill onto the staircase and the banisters. I wanted to leave the reflections of the banisters in from the skylight above the arch, because naturally that's what you'd see with your own eyes. So, you know, again, just trying to make everything look as natural as possible. So a very, very simple lighting diagram, just to give you an idea. So the next shot was one of the first images after I invested in my Pentax 645. I was teaching at an Elinchrom stroke Pentax day, and I was asked to create an image that was like a smash hits type image from one of those old teen magazines from years and years ago. The model was up for kind of experimenting and doing different things, and she pulled this pose, and I thought, you know what, this is going to be really, really nice. With that background was all lit separately from spill, believe it or not, from the softbox, but just balanced enough, and it was a fair enough distance away to keep everything in check and looking good. So the setup for this one is, again, it's a butterfly style lighting. It was used on a big parabolic umbrella that was up quite high, and just ensuring that the light was almost feathered within its big deep sides. You can feather these umbrellas quite nicely. It's not as wide as a standard umbrella, and controlling where the light spill. I didn't want it going everywhere, but to give an overall feel. And you can see the little shadow under her nose that depicts the butterfly style lighting. And you know, I thought it was just kind of a striking image that needed to be shot. I saw this little alcove and it was very dark and dingy, but I was quite impressed and chuffed that we pulled this image out the bag, really. So that was one of them. The third image, sorry, I'm going to show you is using very hard light. So this was shot in a very, very spit and sawdust gym. You can see the light coming in from behind you in a window, but I've also added to that a bare flash head. It was a Quadra 400 flash head that was just a bare bulb, just to give me this nice spread of light, create these great big shadows in front of her to show that she was very dominant. I actually named this image Girl Power because it just oozed a really kind of important dominant figure in the picture. You'll see by the lighting diagram, if I move to the next slide, that again it's a really simple setup. The front light, the main key light, was a very tight gridded 18cm reflector. Excuse me. And it was just concentrated in the areas I wanted it, so on her face, and you can see with the shadow down one side of her cheek, again it was kind of almost feathered to give that moodiness and that line down the side of her cheek to create some depth and shadow. But with the rim light behind, it kind of really stands out. I just love the feel of it. I feel like, you know, she's really dominant in the image, and you know, she looks very important. So that was kind of the key to it. The same day, shooting with again a big parabolic umbrella. This guy, some of you might know him, Pip Atkins. He's a superb model, loveliest bloke you'll ever meet. Again, spit and sawdust type gym. There was things going on, so you know, I had to kind of hide some of the background. I put a big gel blue light at the back, and I named this image What Once Was. And basically sort of an old boy, retired, boxer with his vintage boxing gloves, sat there contemplating life. And again, the lighting on this one is very simple. If I go to the lighting diagram, it's a big parabolic umbrella that's feathered across the front of the subject to give us almost a Rembrandt style light. It's picked out the detail and everything. I think it's got a really good mood to it, and with the gelled backlight, it kind of just gives that more ambience to it as well. There's a bit of smoke lingering from a smoke machine, and I think it you know, it became a fairly prominent image in my portfolio for quite a while, because it's so simple, but I think it's got quite a lot of impact as well, and it's been well received in competitions and things as well. So keeping everything simple, this is kind of my thing. And you know, you can create quite dramatic effects with just being simple. You can overcomplicate things and make it look complicated, but you know, this is as simple as it gets, really. So moving on, the next image, again, this was set up. I was teaching a group of people on the same Pentax Elinchrom day at a nightclub in Watford, and this big mural on the back was amazing. And this guy walked in, and he looked a bit like a drug lord to me. He had a great big kind of donkey jacket on, and he was very dark. And when he opened his mouth, his voice didn't sound anything like he looked. So we played on this fact. We played on the fact that he was kind of mean and moody. This is actually his girlfriend in real life. She's a model. And we were having some good fun. You know, we were recreating different looks and feels. And I kind of wanted it to be a feel of you know, this drug lord with one of his girls. There was another image in this series where you just see the back of her, and she's got her head buried in his neck, and he's just looking stone cold down the camera. And it kind of told a story. But this is actually one of my favorite images from that shoot, because again, very simple lighting. It's a beauty dish that has got a grid on the front, and it's just controlled the pool of light that hits the subject slightly off to the side to give off-centered shadows. But I think the contrast and the feel of it just kind of works. It's just a nice moody feel, which is what I was going for. And again, one of the images that featured quite heavily in my portfolio for a while. So this is my style. You can kind of see now what keeping it simple does and how effective it can be. And there's other images later on that have got more lights involved. But again, if I can just do the best with the minimum amount of equipment, this was kind of all going back to my assisting days, where I was expected to turn up. The photographer said, right, I want to shoot this, and I'd have a limited amount of gear in my car to be able to set stuff up. So teaching myself the lighting principles, and working alongside these photographers kind of taught me to keep things very, very simple and very compact. So again, I like the look and feel of it. So let's move on to the next one. Not quite as moody. This was shot up in Worcester at a place called Chateau Impney. Beautiful place as a training venue, lots and lots of grounds. This was almost kind of demonstrating balancing daylight with flash. It was a very, very cloudy day. There was a bit of sun coming through the bushes at the back, but not enough to give me a nice separation or rim light around the model. So again, this is kind of a bareheaded affair at the back to give me this lovely kind of light around the top of her hair. We've got this bokeh effect in the background, shooting at very, very wide apertures, again on my Pentax 645. I just love the look and feel of this image. It's kind of nice and warm and inviting, if you like. But again, a big softbox at the front to match my diffuse light coming from the cloudy sky, and the backlight as a kicker, just to give me that kind of rim effect. And just keep everything as kind of natural looking as possible. So that's another kind of style that I like.
Simon, can I just jump in?
Yeah.
Mate, can I just jump in? I've got a couple of questions that I want to ask you, but just could you just possibly move your cursor away from the image, because it's just distracting a little bit. It's on the hair of the girl. Can you see it? So we do see that you're a star. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Right. So while we've got it, though, I've got a couple of questions for you. So good point to interject. Sorry.
Okay.
So Simon, how much of the imagery is pre-planned? So basically, what they're asking is, how do you, what style to shoot based on the model in short space of time, or are you deciding your style before you're going into the shoot? So is it on the cuff? How much do you plan? Where do you sort of start the concept of the shot?
Okay. Let's take the shot before. I mean, the boxing shoots, I had that kind of in mind, that kind of view. I'd never seen the gym. I'd seen pictures of the models. I knew what they looked like. So that kind of in my head was two shots I wanted to pull from that shoot. The nightclub shoot with the guy and the girl in the last image, that was just off the cuff. I saw the corner, I saw the mural on the wall. I looked around and I had the choice of a strip softbox, a beauty dish, or a umbrella. I literally grabbed the beauty dish, stuck it on the head of my light, sectioned it all off. That shot was put together and shot in about 2 minutes. I kind of just saw it and went for it. This shot that's currently on the screen, I'd always seen this girl. I'd worked at events where she was a model. I've always wanted to shoot her, and she features later on as well. Always wanted to shoot her. Simone, her name is. She's lovely, and I just saw the way she was dressed, and I thought, this is just she looks almost like sort of girl next door, and I just wanted to put something together that just had a bit of a wow factor to it. And again, I was teaching another setup with very similar lighting kit, and this was off the cuff as well. So there's a couple of images that I'll mention when I get to them about ones that were a sort of a concept and standard shoots that I normally do. But generally, I tend to look at a girl when she turns up, and I get an idea in my head. I've already scouted the venue, and I just put it into practice. And sometimes it comes out as I expect it, and sometimes it doesn't. It's one of those, really.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. That's all the questions for now. Palace, all yours.
Fine. Okay, brilliant. Keep them coming. Okay, so the next image was actually shot with Elinchrom's new lights that I was making videos of at the Photographer Academy a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted to do a very short video while we were doing the main overview video of a very simple beauty setup. It's something that I teach quite a lot. It's something I get asked to do quite a lot. And this was to demonstrate two things. And I need an example image to talk to people about, because when you're shooting medium format, those of you that shoot it will know this, but the depth of field on it is so shallow. This is shot at f4 on a medium format. I would normally shoot this type of image on my medium format at f8, f11, which would give me the same depth of field really on a DSLR of about 2.8 f4. If I shoot at 1.4 or 2.8 on a medium format camera, I can have the catch light in focus and the eyelash is out of focus. The depth of field is that shallow. But controlling this image and controlling the aperture allows me to get the eyes in focus, and we all know Kelsey. Kelsey's a lovely girl, but her eyes are amazing. The setup of this allowed me, it's a triflector, all right? I haven't done a lighting diagram for this because it is so simple. The triflector goes up underneath, so we have a butterfly style lighting. The video's on the Photographer Academy right now if you want to go and check it out. But the triflector goes up underneath to fill in the light underneath the chin, under the eye sockets and everything else, because we have the light right above the subject, and a little letterbox for me to shoot between the softbox in a butterfly style position. We lose the butterfly style lighting shadow under the nose, because I filled in with the reflector underneath, and because the reflector's in so close, it fills everything out, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful light. But I was trying to demonstrate the shallow depth of field on the medium format, and I love the fact that the shoulders have dropped out, the neck's dropped out, and your eye is drawn to that kind of face and the cheekbones and the eyes are really, really stunning. Absolutely love creating this shot. But again, as I say, the video is on the Photographer Academy YouTube page and all over social media as well, I believe, today. So you can actually see how that shot was taken. But I wanted to put it in because, you know, it was using the new lights we'll be talking about in a little while. And yeah, really, really pleased with it. So that's the triflector. We sell those as well. Lasterlight triflector, absolutely superb piece of gear, and I would never be without it. It also works vertically as a full-length reflector as well. So a nice bit of kit. So this was shot very, very quickly. I had half an hour of downtime to shoot this over in Italy. It's using a technique called high sync or high speed sync if you're a non-Elinchrom user. Basically, this is shot on a medium format at 4,000th of a second with the sun behind. Now, there is only one light in this setup. And if I show you the diagram, it is the softbox, and the softbox was a very small 70 centimeter deep octagonal softbox. It was almost kind of just slightly past the Rembrandt lighting style, but the backlight is the sun. It was so low in the sky. It was October we were shooting, but the sun was brutal. And we shot this image, as I said, we had half an hour, and it was 10 minutes there and 10 minutes back in the van. So we didn't have a lot of time to shoot a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to try out the high sync with a new piece of kit. I thought it was quite a striking image. I did have an image that was shot at 1/25th of a second, and I didn't like it at all, but controlling the light onto the subject and just matching everything up, the little 70 centimeter deep octa is such an effective modifier. It gives you a very dramatic drop off, but it's a very focused and contrasty light. Used in as close as you can get it, obviously the bigger the light source compared to your subject, the softer, the more natural the light's going to look. So whereas the 70, I normally use it as a bit of a distance to kind of give a kick of harder light, this is kind of halfway between hard and soft. And it just complemented, obviously, the color of the dress. It made the dress pop, but that rim light was just natural. It's beautiful. I just loved the situation. I then went and did something different. The next image was balancing the daylight with the flash. So the sun and the flash together are kind of, again, making this whole thing pop. A very shallow depth of field. The face is in focus. Hand is virtually on the same plane. That's in focus. The dress isn't quite because of the depth of field. But we've got this out of focus blurred background as well between two pillars. And again, a very, very simple lighting setup. We've got the sun coming behind to give a rim or a fill light, and we've got the softbox feathered across. Not quite feathered, it's just before it becomes feathered. It's not a true 90-degree light. So therefore it's filling in and giving a great wrap around to the subject and complementing the light that I have around me. So again, just trying to be creative and playing, using the sun to your advantage. Obviously the previous version showed the sun away from the image because we were using a high syncs scenario. This one is actually the opposite, and just controlling where my light goes to make it look as natural as possible and for the subject to pop out of the image. So moving on, this was actually done at a lighting demonstration.
Sorry, mate. Sorry. I think I've just got some questions about particular images, so it's probably a good idea that I jump in. Sorry, mate. Those
That's all right.
those last two with the lady in the red dress, obviously, what you said about in Italy. The question was, which Elinchrom flash units were you using for those? I presume they were the same.
ELB 1200, the battery, 1200 watt battery system. When you're shooting a high sync with the ELB, you tend to be up but near fairly high power in conditions like that. But most of the time it's got so much punch, you can be kind of half to 2/3 power. If I go back to it, so yeah, that was about 2/3 of the power of the 1200. And this one I know was on about 1/3 power because it was just filling the shadows that I wanted to get rid of. I love shadows when I'm shooting certain things, but you know, I wanted this to look very girly, very natural. So getting rid of the big heavy shadows just makes it look a little bit more feminine. So yeah, ELB 1200, my location go-to set. To be honest, I absolutely love it. It's brilliant.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Okay, so this was just a very, very simple portrait, and it's just a one light setup again, but with the added use of a reflector. Had this girl had very, very dark hair, I would have put a kicker light or a rim light in from behind just to separate her a little bit, but I love the color and the texture of her hair. Her skin was that good. There's been very, very little done to this image. But the lighting was very, very soft. It was using a big 135 centimeter octa to give that beautiful soft light, a very soft edge shadow. And I've just put the reflector in at a kind of non-optimized angle, if that makes sense, because I didn't want to make full use of the reflector to fill in this the side of her face. I just wanted to lift those shadows just very gently. So it was only a white reflector. Again, matching the light quality for light quality. So I've got a big soft diffuse light on one side and then a very, very uneconomical, if you like, white reflector from quite a distance just to lift those shadows and kick back some light in. But I love the look and feel of her hair. I love the way her hair kind of frames her face. I told her she actually, I thought I knew this girl, but it transpires that I think she just looks a bit like Catherine Jenkins, the opera singer. And a lot of people have commented since about that as well. But she was great. I mean, she's not a full-time professional model. She does a little bit, and you know, she was great to work with. So just again showing different styles of lighting for different things. So this was an image that I shot for an Elinchrom video. This was for the ELB 1200 video, actually, again, which I think is on the Photographer Academy website and the Flash Center YouTube channel. And it was really to demonstrate the control of light that we had even in locations. So I've put a different edit on this for this purpose, because at the top of the image, you'll see some light coming through. Now, that light is actually a ELB 500 that I wedged in a tree to give me the idea. It was such a dense canopy of trees. It was very, very little light coming through. You can see how dark it all looked anyway. So this light behind, I wanted to emulate that the sun was coming through, creating that dappled effect on the water and the wet mud behind. So I put this, the head was probably 15 foot up in the air, wedged in a V in the tree. So it was just hanging from that. When I processed this image, I actually cropped that out to get rid of that highlight, but I wanted you guys to see exactly how this was working. It's given me the dappled edge around the water, but it's also given me a lovely rim light around the model as well. And the main light is actually a great big high performance reflector, which is a very deep, I think the 26 centimeter high performance reflector, we call it. Not only does it throw the light a lot further, it gives me about another stop of light. It is a high performance reflector, and again, using quite an unconventional method of feathering that front light just to control it, to stop it hitting the tree behind her. I wanted her to be illuminated, but not to draw your eye to the fact she was sat on a tree. I wanted her to be sort of the main focus of the image for obvious reasons, and I just thought it worked. We used it in the video, and we showed how to create it as well. But again, keeping this very simple. If I haven't got the sun to work with, I can create the sun by using Flash. It was a very, very hot summer's day, so the sun was absolutely blistering hot, bright blue sky blazing through, but the canopy just shaded everything, so the whole thing just needed to be lifted. And from memory, that was shot around about a 15th of a second, again, maybe 25th of a second, just to pull in as much of the ambient light as I could, but not have too much that distracted from the image. So that's that one. This is another one that I shot for the video for the new lights a couple of weeks ago. This was a 4-light setup. So we have a butterfly style light from above. We have a kicker light on the back of the hair, and we also have 2 lights lighting the background. Because my main light hasn't lit my background, let me just put my lighting diagram on. My main light, ignore the position of the softbox. This lighting diagram maker that I found doesn't allow you to invert things. So it was a butterfly style lighting setup, which basically means the softbox is above my subject, but in front of them, facing down. No light is going to hit the background. So my pastel-y background would have gone very, very dark, if not black, because she was quite a distance away from it. I wanted to keep that pastel-y colour, so I've lit that separately with the 2 side lights, just about a stop underneath my, about half a stop underneath my working aperture. The kicker light on the back, just giving that separation and highlighting the hair down the side. And I just loved the look and feel of it. It was quite a warm image with the lilac background and everything else. So it was just a shot testing the new ELC 125 and 500 heads and mixing and matching them with some of the existing gear to show that they actually they work together. Most of these images I've showed you today, apart from some skin smoothing, are virtually straight out of camera. So I don't do a massive amount of editing. I'm a big fan, having shot film for so many years, of getting as much right in camera as possible. There are certain times when I'm shooting for something where it does need to be processed and the girl needs to look a bit plastic and everything else. I'm not a massive fan of that. If you zoom into any of my images, you can still see skin pores, you can still see slight imperfections. At the end of the day, that's the girl, that's what she looks like. You start removing things from her, it's not a true representation of the person that's there. And Kelsey's eyes are great, they really pop. And her hair's great, it's all very, very shiny, so it makes our job actually quite a lot easier. So you know, again, that's just a very, it's not a technical lighting setup. It's actually, we start deconstructing it, it's actually quite a basic lighting setup, but it gives good effect anyway. So that's me on my images, Jay. That's come to the end of it. Is there any questions before we move on?
I absolutely have some questions for you. Yes, pal. Can we just jump back to the shots of Molly in the woods?
Yeah.
And the question was, yeah, when you were talking through the modifiers, I think you referred to it. Did you mean deep dish? Can you just run us through the modifiers again?
Yeah, it's a deep dish. I'm it's a 26 centimeter high performance reflector. We also do, there's a maxi light as well that we do, and they have a different finish inside. This one has a very smooth surface, which allows the light to be thrown that little bit further and give you an extra stop of power on the light. The backlight is actually just a ELB 500 head with its standard reflector and a diffuser cap on the front. So there's no huge control over the back one, because it's given me a very broad span of light, but that's what it needed for this image. The front light is literally, as you can see from here, if anybody, I can give you the links, Jay, so you can put the links up afterwards on this one, but I'll link to the product exactly in question,
Okay.
so that people can see exactly what it was. But yeah, I'm sure it's the Maxi Light. It's changed names over the years, but I know it as the old 26 centimeter high performance reflector. So
okay, Brill, what else have I got? Well, I think you just touched on it, Simon. So you mentioned just now, obviously, you do quite little retouching and so on there. But do you have a preferred software for your editing, and what do you use?
Photoshop and Lightroom is what I go to, and I used to use Capture One, but having now become a fully fledged Pentax ambassador for 645 in K series, I can't use Capture One because it's owned by a company called Phase One, and they blocked quite a few people's native files coming into Capture One unless it was Phase One. There is plugins, but it's quite messy. So I standardize on Lightroom and Photoshop for everything.
Brilliant. Well, interesting you should mention about the Pentax there. So this is the question I've got for you. So you talk about the benefits of shooting with the Knight's Depth of Field in the medium format, which is obviously a plus. Do you find that shooting medium format adds any challenges to the process that you don't get from DSLRs? And are there any scenarios where you prefer to get the DSLR out?
Having shot medium format weddings for so many years, the medium format camera system to me, it feels very familiar. I love the file sizes. My MacBook doesn't, it hates them. But if I'm shooting something that's very detail orientated, I'll always shoot the Pentax 645 just for the sheer quality and the detail that you get in it. If I'm running a standard training course doing standard portrait photography and things like that, I tend to use the DSLR. It's easier to use. The thing I love about medium format, and this goes back to the film days, it slows you down. It makes you think about what you're shooting. And I think the mentality in my head of, do I need to put that fifth roll of film in for a wedding? Or can I get away with my 4 rolls of 12 exposure? You know, the photographers today that go out and shoot 5,000-6,000 images on a wedding, when I tell them I used to shoot 4 rolls of 12 exposure medium format film, they think you're crazy. They think you're absolutely mad. But that was enough back in the day. That's what we used to do. And the 5th roll of film was an extra 50 quid to Devon print. So, it came out your bottom line at the end of the day. But the medium format has its uses for hair and beauty stuff. I love using it. The detail is absolutely mind-blowing. The DSLR, to be honest, side by side at a 10/8, 12/10 print, you wouldn't see the difference massively. But as soon as you start going over that, the detail that is retained is beautiful. But the main thing is it slows you down and makes you think about what you're shooting. And instead of taking 5 images or 6 images, you end up taking 2 to get the shot that you need. So yeah, absolutely love it. I hope that's answered it.
Brill. I'm not sure if I'm reading this question right, but what is the EXIF info on this file? EXIF? I've got that right?
I can't get to that because I'm on full screen in my slideshow at the moment, I'm afraid. But if you want to drop me a message, I'll be quite happy to send it to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Well, look, the other reason that we were here tonight, which was perfect timing, is obviously today there's been a fantastic announcement from Elinchrom. So the new ELC 125 and 500 came out today, officially this morning. Obviously, we were very fortunate to have had them early, because obviously you were with us filming, and then you left them for Mark to have a go with. But let's well, I know you're going to give everybody an overview of the new lights and the new features, and then obviously we've got some questions on that for you as well, mate. So it's all yours again.
Perfect. Okay, well, it's nice actually after all this time to actually be able to talk about these lights, because they've been a long time in the coming. I saw them in Switzerland probably getting on for 2 years ago now. They look very slightly different than they do today, but they've really kind of made these lights look and feel very, very premium. They are just completely different from the stuff we've had before. You'll also notice on some of these images that the reflected issues in the tinware now are starting to come through in sort of a dark charcoal colour rather than that very pale grey that Elinchrom used to use, which was kind of, you know, part of the Elinchrom look. But when you've got a unit that looks this sexy, you need a nicer modifier to go on the front of it. So these new charcoal modifiers really make the unit stand out. So as you can see from the slide, they are all based on an IGBT circuit rather than Elinchrom's famous full flash curve. This allows us now to have all of these different technologies within this unit. So we have TTL with manual lock, which basically means you can take an image on TTL, you can get your exposure. I mean, I've tried it out. It's a third of a stop accurate. I mean, it is absolutely bang on. So you take your TTL, you get your standard meter, you get your standard image and your exposure settings right. You then flick it to manual, and it continues to go in that exposure range. So everything is consistent. I did 10 shots one after the other, and there was no difference in exposure or color temperature between any of them. So Elinchrom call it their color science, and there's a lot of thought. And the reason why they've taken so long to come out is that Elinchrom will always make sure that the units they provide are fully tested and exactly what they wanted to produce in the first place. So when we get told there's a new product coming out, maybe 2 years in advance, and they say it's going to be out in a year, I know it's not going to be for another 24 or even 36 months before we actually see it. So there's a lot of engineering, a lot of R&D, everything goes into these units to make them as good as they possibly can be. They've got the TTL, they've got the high-speed sync, which will work with all of the camera manufacturers that there is a relevant trigger for in the Skyport range. I believe it's 7 off the top of my head. They have smart proactive cooling, which basically means like your car radiator. If you're stuck in traffic, it comes on, it cools it, and it turns off again, and just kicks in every now and again when it needs it. I was shooting these quite heavily in the studio, making the videos, and I think I had the fan once in a day. It was quite a cool day, but even still, I was quite impressed. The auto on facility is lovely. You can turn that on and off in the menu, and even when you kill the power to it, turn it back on, it comes back with all the settings you had set before, and you can also wake it up from the trigger if it does go to sleep. And obviously it's got the standard Elinchrom front mount, which has never ever changed, with a great sort of positive feel double lock mechanism for the modifier as well. Lovely, great big OLED display on the back, which is adjustable in 10th of f-stops and also full stops as well. So one of the things I'm glad they've done is the central brolly tube is actually very unique to the Elinchrom system. Everyone else's is either on the side of the unit, the top of the unit, or on the stand mount. Ours goes through the center of the head, which gets best optical center for the light to be when using a brolly or it opens a door to people to use our deflector sets, which turn any of our softboxes into beauty dishes. So now what they've done is they've changed the brolly mount that only used to take a 7mm shaft, and people who wanted to use third-party umbrellas couldn't. They had to use the third-party mount on the stand bracket. It now will accept 7 and 8mm brolly shaft, so you can use anybody's brolly within that head. And I'll be glad when I don't have to listen to people moaning about that anymore at shows and things like that. So that's a really nice feature that they've put on. you'll see on the side of the unit there's a red Elinchrom logo. That now changes, and you'll see if you look at the overview video, which is up on the YouTube channels for the Photographer Academy and the Flash Center, you'll see the colors can change. So immediately you set the head to a group within a frequency, and the group obviously depicts what group it's in. So if you've got your main light on group 1, it could be blue. Your kicker light on group 2, that could be red, and you set them all up so they become very, very familiar. But just a visual look can tell you what group the head's on, rather than having to go and look at the display, which I think is a really nice feature. So moving on, there's another image of the back and front. You can see the size of the display on the back. You'll see there's a little star key on the back, which is one of my favorite options on this. It's a favorite key, so you can set up a shortcut. I had mine set that I could change the group just by pressing the button, and the color on the side of the unit would change. You can also have that set to standard or action for fast flash durations. So if you shoot in a portrait where there's no movement, you have it on standard and you take your images. It's a slower flash duration. And then if you hit the star key, once it's set up, it goes to action mode, which gives you a flash speed of up to about 9,500 thousandths of a second. So you can flick between. If suddenly somebody gets a fan out and wants to freeze motion, like moving hair and stuff like that, fast flash duration, and you can freeze the image. So here are the kind of the standard specs. Because Elinchrom are Swiss, they like to round things down rather than us rounding things up. So the ELC 125 you'll see is actually 131 watt seconds or joules, and the ELC 500 is 522 watt seconds. There's a 5-stop range on the 125 and a 7-stop range on the 500. So they both go down to about 6 watt seconds. So it allows you to get the light in extremely close to shoot very, very shallow depth of field, or you move the light away and shoot some deeper depth of field shots at smaller apertures. Flash durations are quick, so the 125 is 7,750 of a second and 9,500 thousandths of a second on the 500. And this is where Elinchrom's stability and the color comes into it. Some of the Chinese units out on the market now have a Kelvin difference or shift between full and low power of anything up to 8 plus or minus 800 Kelvin. That's huge. Elinchrom have actually got their shift down to 150 Kelvin on the 125 and 200 Kelvin on the 500. You'd be pushed to see that difference, and a very, very quick tweak will bring it back into line when you're in your editing software. So the consistency and the power output, the exposure consistency, the color consistency is very, very important to Elinchrom. They won't release it if it's not right, which is why we waited all of this time for them. So you've got your flash modes, action for faster flash duration. Action off will give you a much more optimized color temperature, but to be fair, when I was shooting with it, I didn't see a massive difference. For the videographers amongst you that do a bit of talking head interviews and things like that, the 92 CRI LED is absolutely perfect. It's fully dimmable. It's daylight balanced, very consistent, and it's the equivalent of 120 watts of halogen. So for talking head interviews and things like that, it's absolutely spot on. And I quite often use the same LED in the ELB 1200 as a fill light. Instead of having the flash go off, I can actually fill it with daylight just to relieve some of the shadows if I want to. So TTL and HSS, did you say something?
No, I didn't, mate.
Okay, sorry. Okay, there was a bit of interference on the line. That's what you're butting in. So TTL and HSS is available on these heads, but only with the relevant trigger. So a lot of you that have bought standard Elinchrom kits will have the standard Skyport Plus transmitter. You need the Pro transmitter or the HS transmitter that it used to be called, with a digital display on the top. That allows you to high sync up to the maximum shutter speed of your camera, which is generally 8,000th of a second or 4,000 on my medium format. But it'll also give you the full TTL functionality as well. There is no new trigger, so if you already have the HSS or the Pro trigger, it will work. I dare say there'll be a firmware update out for it at some point, and if you keep it all up to date like we should with our cameras and everything else, it will keep up with the technology and give you these extra features that are needed. The other nice thing about Elinchrom systems is that they are all multi-voltage. So no matter where you are in the world, you can fly away with them and shoot abroad. They're all multi-voltage. When you plug the unit in and turn any Elinchrom head on, there's a very slight delay while it senses the voltage it's being fed, and then it optimizes itself for that power voltage. It also helps when you're shooting out with a big battery inverter or something. It knows it's on a battery, it's being fed a different type of power, therefore it optimizes itself to make the most out of the power that you've got available for you. So a really, really intuitive system. As standard, these are going to be the kit configurations. They will be available as single heads. At the moment, there are these 3 kits available. So 2 of the same head or 1 of each head in one of 3 kits. And the transmitter you can see down here. So Canon, Sony, Fuji, Nikon, Pentax, Olympus and Panasonic. The Panasonic one actually works on Leicas as well, I've been told. I have from very, very good authority. They use the same protocols within the Leica software. So if you have a Leica, if you're lucky enough to have a Leica, you could use the Panasonic trigger as well, as far as I'm told. You can pop into any of the flash center branches with your camera and we'll let you try it just to prove it. But all of the big brands are there and all of them work very, very well. The recommended accessories, they've launched some new accessory kits to go with these new heads, and there are 4 of them. Brand new softboxes, so the ones that people have bought in the past where they've had the Portalite softboxes, you had a little 56 centimeter octagonal softbox and a little 66 centimeter square softbox. These new ones are now called the Snaplux, and you'll be able to see, you can buy these as kits. So the softbox portrait kit has got your 2 softboxes with your grids. Softbox to go kit has a more of a strip type softbox with a, it's not an octagonal because it's 16 sided, but these units are really, really nicely made. They've got grids, they pop up like an umbrella inside, and then you put the covers on the front, so they're very, very portable. The umbrella to go kit is a shallow umbrella kit, and then you have the umbrella portrait kit, which is the deeper, more parabolic softboxes. So they've given you some really, really good options on there to add to those kits to kind of work in most situations. Any kit softbox is always going to be kind of a good all-rounder. It's never going to be bang on unless you're lucky that it's going to do a job 100% well. But then we do the Rotolux range of softboxes to add to everybody's kit to actually make exactly what you want. But you know, these as all-round softboxes are absolutely great. And if you practice with your lighting and you play with the control of lighting, they do work very, very well. And the addition of the honeycomb grid is a really nice advantage to stop spill and control the direction of the light that it goes. So is there any questions on those lights before I put up the last slide?
There is, my friend. Yes, we've got some questions for you. Okay, so I'll just read down them in no particular order. So with these new EL systems, how do you get the fastest flash duration? Is it the lowest or highest power?
It's down at the lower end, as with most flash guns and IGBT technology. When you dial the back of the unit and up and down the power, you'll see the flash duration in the bottom left-hand corner change, and you'll see the sweet spot and you'll get it. But Even there's a video that we used with flash durations on your site about freezing motion within the image and using flash duration. And basically it showed you there the power it was set on and what the flash duration was as well. So have a look at that video. But we were using, you'll see the ambient light in the studio, and any of you that have been to Mark's studio knows that it's got massive, great big windows. It's an old church, so the ambient light is beautiful in there. But we were getting the power enough to freeze actions even at the lower power range. It wasn't a problem.
Brilliant. I think you just touched on this when you were going through the spec sign, but I'll just ask it just in case I got it wrong. So with the new heads, are they true HSS or like some of the other Elinchrom units, just HS?
Okay, this is a good question. Some of you will have realized that when Elinchrom ventured into the high sync market, they didn't go down the road of HSS or high speed sync. Elinchrom named theirs high sync because Elinchrom have always used what they call a full flash curve technology. Basically the gas in the tube has to ignite, it has to peak, and then it drops off. IGBT circuits work in a very, very different way. They pulse the light to make up the total exposure that you want. So these heads, because it's IGBT, are true HSS. We only refer to high sync when we're looking at the ELB 1200, where you have a high sync head, because it relies on a really, really slow flash duration. If you look at the flash duration of an HS head, it's about a 500th of a second. So if you're shooting at 8,000th of a second, you can imagine that the flash duration becomes a continuous light source throughout your frame, and it works in a very different way to the IGBT circuit. So these heads are true HSS.
Brilliant. Okay, just a couple more questions for you, mate. Well, I'll put you on the spot here. Because of the new lights, is there any plans to discontinue the ELC Pro range?
Absolutely not, no. I'm sure it's probably going to be no secret, but the D-Lite RX2 has or is going to be very shortly discontinued, as are the BRX 250 and 500. So the semi-pro range will go. These two heads will sit at the moment above the D-Lite 1 and the D-Lite 4. They'll sit between the D-Lites and the ELC Pro HD. So everything in the Elinchrom range, new products coming out. ELC stands for Elinchrom Compact. ELB stands for Elinchrom Battery. So as the years go through and the new products become available, anything battery powered will be ELB and anything mains powered will be ELC. So the Pro HDs are here to stay, and they continue where these lights leave off.
Brilliant. So the last question I got for you for the minute is with regards to this then, is the flash duration is shorter than the ELC Pro heads. So if I'm reading this right, are the new heads better for capturing motion like we mentioned earlier?
Okay, yes, they are quicker. And this again is down to Elinchrom's technology. So the full flash curve technology can't have a blisteringly fast flash duration. An IGBT unit that is used in other technology and other manufacturers' technology allows for a much faster flash duration. Excuse me. So the flash durations are faster on the new ELC 125 and 500 than they are on the ELC Pro HDs, but the Pro HDs are designed to be kind of the ultimate in workhorses. So these units are going to work very, very hard for you, and for 90% of the people that are going to buy them, they're going to be absolutely perfect. You imagine a D-Lite 1. I've sat in a studio with 10 people all day long hammering those lights, and they just go and go and go. We say they're good for about 1,500 shots a day without overworking them. The ELC Pro HDs are good for just whatever you want to use them for. They were designed to be sat on the side of a catwalk 24/7 and just hammered. These new units, I don't know what we're thinking yet. We need to do some more testing and stuff, but I reckon they're going to be good for 3,500, 5,000 shots a day without any problem whatsoever.
Brilliant. This has just come in, Simon. I'll put you on the spot. You might not have the answer as yet, and obviously we can find it out for them. Are Elinchrom looking at people who are is there going to be a path for people to upgrade from the likes of the Quadras and the Rangers?
There was always an upgrade path. You need to speak to one of the branches and see what we're doing. Elinchrom sometimes put together something like an upgrade path in terms of part exchange. I haven't had any wind of that yet, only because it's just very early days. I mean, these units literally launched at 11 o'clock this morning. The best thing to do is drop me a message or give one of the branches a call, and if we can look after you, we certainly will. Advertise your older kit online. Elinchrom holds its value very, very well. All of the new kit's got a 3-year warranty, so have a look, but generally you'll find that the Elinchrom will hold its value against other manufacturers quite well, because it's designed to last, so people aren't frightened of buying second-hand kit. But please speak to us and contact us directly, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Mate, I think he's sat in the wings. I wanted to invite Mark. I think Mark's been with us tonight because he's been working late with me, but just to have his thoughts, because obviously we've had the luxury of being able to shoot with him. Mark, are you with us, mate? Or is he playing dumbass?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just editing here. So if I sound like a bit of a, I've got 500 images processing. I do bad timing.
Well, Mark's. Well, I know you were listening, but obviously Simon's just given us a fantastic insight into the images, and we've been very lucky to have, as Simon has said, we've got all the films live on the Photographer Academy today, and you can find all the links from our Facebook page. But Mark, obviously, we had the luxury of shooting with them, and you decided that you were going to do one of your passions with them, which was dance. And I know you were eager to sort of, have a chat with Simon and giving. I know he's had your feedback, but we were impressed, right?
Yeah, it's always hard when you've got the manufacturer on the other end of the phone and you're speaking about honesty with it. But to be honest, there's nothing really to knock it with. I would say that you're definitely going to be investing in a product for life. Ergonomically, it just does its job. So in other words, it's smaller, it's more compact, it's more rigid. So in other words, Simon was saying about the D-Lite 1, and the D-Lite 1 is just a magnificent little studio flash, the handheld for assistants to hold and everything else with it. And the new ELC 125 is basically doing the same thing, even though it's got a little bit more weight. It's being able to take a lot more strength actually on the neck of the actual lighting unit itself. That feels more metal and plastic compared to the D-Lite 1. D-Lite 1 obviously was always designed for an entry-level amateur kind of base product, where I feel that the ELC is really, it's missing a stage. Do you know what I mean? So when you're giving people advice on what to buy photographically for their lighting, I always say, well, the back end is basically never for life. You're going to be upgrading and buying more. And basically, as you need more and more power, you're going to be buying more and more light. But the front end is really going to be your most important. What I mean by that is the soft boxes, the reflector dishes, the honeycombs, everything else. So the benefit in that is that because all the Elinchrom range are designed to fit forevermore, a bit like in the Hasselblad days and things where everything fitted, it doesn't matter how old it was, Elinchrom have done exactly the same. So I would say that the investment for the semi-pro and the very keen amateur and the camera club and everything else, I don't think there's going to be a question, except for it's a little bit more expensive than the D-Lite elementary ranges that were. But this stuff, the biggest problem they're going to have, it's not going to fail. I mean, we were shooting all day yesterday. We shot around about I think we shot about 3,500 to 4,000 images across the grouping, and just in a few short hours. And unfortunately, we had one of the ELC pros fall over. I mean, fell 8 feet, whack, Well, the only thing you lose at that point, because of the ELC build, as a rule, is going to be a light bulb. In other words, the modeling bulb, and that's exactly what happened. Of course, with the new ELCs, they're moving over to LED. So I know we're not supposed to drop heads on the floor, but when they do happen, it means that we're not going to lose the downtime of Steve. Where's the spare tubes, and so on with it. So I know I look at the little things in life, but it's the little things that really kind of spoil me forever. So I'm really great to see the new LED come in instead of the actual the modeling bulb. And of course, one of the things with that is, of course, because I shoot so much food as well, that it's a cold light. So that really allows me to shoot with the flash very close up, really down in minimum power, no matter what is on the front end of the light. But yeah, really impressed. Simon's had my feedback already with it. Things really got well chuffed.
I'm glad. And just touching on that, Mark, I appreciate your feedback, mate. The D-Light 1 obviously was produced as a bit of an experiment, really, to show that you could produce a decent quality flashlight for little money. It didn't have to be a very unreliable, cheap and cheerful unit. Elinchrom never made a lot of money, if anything, on the D-Light 1. It was just a proof of concept, really. And because of that, we were using the same components as the rest of the D-Lights, although there was less of them because it was only a 100-watt unit. But the weight of the modifier choice on the front of it, you were kind of limited. We always said that the biggest modifier you could put on the front of a D-Light 1 safely was a 100-centimeter softbox. I know people shoot all the time with a 135 on the front. I did see somebody try and put a 175 softbox on the front in a butterfly style lighting configuration, and guess what? It pulled the inners out of the softbox. Luckily, there was no good underneath it.
Yeah, but we've stuck them in the huge parabolic soft boxes. That's the amazing thing, is that even though you don't really want to stick it on the back end to take all the weight, you stick it on the inside, and it's just the most amazing piece of kit and things, really. And that's that's a reward for you guys. And God, I can't believe you ever made any money on that D-Light 1, to be honest. But I've got to be honest, the ELC 125 and 500. Say again, sorry.
That's why the D-Light 1's gone up a bit in price. If we're going to keep it going, it has to make money. We can't sell things and not make a lot of money on it. So that will continue, as will the D-Light 4 for the foreseeable future. I've got customers, big customers, that buy a lot of D-Light 4s off me at once. So, that's going to kind of keep that going for a while. But I think at some point in time, you'll probably find that because it's older technology, the newer technology takes over and things will start to be phased out. But, it's a proper constructed unit, this. So even on the little 125, you can put a 175 softbox on it without even thinking. And the stand mount is now off the ELV 1200. It's got its friction plates. So you don't need to over tighten it. You can just nip it up. You've still got movement without it actually drooping. And then you can lock it off once it's in place. So there's a lot of thought gone into this unit. And it's a lot bigger build quality, which obviously then reflects in the price with the other features as well.
I don't think the price is really a kind of a problem, even though it is a little bit more than D-Light 2s and 4s. I think once people see the difference in the build level, there is going to be no question about what they're doing with it. That's the great thing. We had the first, we only had the two heads, and we had the 125 and the 500 for just a couple of days. Well, I had a 125 12 feet in the air with an inverted umbrella parabolic softbox with a diffuser on the front. And I'm shooting a dancer, so it kind of gives me this lovely soft downlight, but a kind of a real spread. Mate, we were shooting and shooting. We didn't miss a frigging shot. So whereas we're used to the ELCs with lots of weight actually up in the sky and everything else with it and things, really, they're doing their job. That's what they're designed to do, is for the real pro end, kind of shoot sharp, fast and hard, as it were, never miss a beat. Got to be honest, ELCs did, the new ELC 125-500 did exactly that. And I think, if anything, it could knock people down from going into the pro range quick enough. because they're going to go, what's the point of upgrading? So that's the only thing I'm worried for you about, is that you've created yourself a monster that's going to bite you in the arse, that it's so good. Why are we going to get the 12th upgrade with it and things? So I'd have a breakage fuse in it, so it kind of breaks every 6 years.
We'll keep our units going and going. We do shoot ourselves in the foot because, you know, Elinchrom did a while ago a survey about the amount of Elinchrom equipment ever sold and what was still in use. I haven't got the figures to hand, but it was something ridiculous. Like all the Elinchrom units that have ever been used, 75% of them are still in circulation and still working. We know this because we have the service centre. We see them coming back for repair. And, you know, it just shows that these units are over-engineered and maybe they have shot themselves in the foot a little bit with the quality. But we'd rather sell somebody something that's not going to bomb out after 2 or 3 years and you have to replace it. You know, we want to get value for money out of it. Yeah.
No, mate, I was congratulating you. Really, as I said, I did enjoy shooting with you. You got my feedback straight away on it and things, really. And I was lucky. I had a new little dancer in to shoot, and I hadn't shot with her before and things, really. And again, for the hour that she was in studio, you can see some of the shots on the Academy now. In fact, there's actually the film there, and basically, as I said, we didn't miss a beat. And again, if you do get a chance to actually see it, if you do have a chance to actually use it, even just get up close with it and things, really, I'd really encourage them to be doing that and things. So very well done, and thanks for the loan for a couple of days.
My pleasure, mate. I'm just glad to have them back in my position now.
Yes. And we'll be doing a deal. Do you know what I've got to say, though? Groups, coloured light on the side, genius.
Amazing, isn't it?
Genius. Because if we're using the normal Skyport triggers and not the pro ones, of course, we can't see what group it is until it's up in the air. You get it back down again, and there's nothing more annoying when you realise, is that a frequency change or is that a group change? And anyway, so very well done on that, genius. Very well done.
Perfect. Thanks for the feedback, Mark.
Cheers, boss.
Cheers, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Take care.
Man. Simon, I think skip forward. We haven't told them about your offer. So did you skip forward on your slides, please?
I did. I thought I'd make use of advertising space, to be honest. But
you tell them what's on offer, but I've shared them already with them.
All right. I've managed to put together for you guys this code. It is available until midnight on Sunday. At that point, everything reverts back. If you use this code, it will give you on the flashcenter.com only anything Elinchrom and Photics. It gives you a tiny percent. It's a 5% off offer. Margins are tight because of the exchange rate and that thing called Brexit we've just gone through. So we are being quite squeezed at the moment. But there's a little bit of a thank you for watching and listening to me talk about my equipment and my images. So if you use that code, it is TPA5S1M0N. If you use that code on the flashcenter.com website until midnight Sunday, anything Elinchrom or Photics, you'll get that discount off. Just enter that code at checkout, and you know, that's my little gift to you guys for listening and spending your evening listening to me go on. So thank you.
Thank you, mate. I've shared that in the chat panel, and guys, remember, you'll get any follow-up email from me tomorrow with all the links and the discount codes in there. Remember, it's only valid till Sunday at midnight. And obviously, if you want to interact with Simon, then get involved with him on his Instagram. So that's @LightDoctorTraining, or on Facebook, and that's the @TheLightDr, the Light Doctor on that. And again, I'll share all those links in the follow-up email that you got from us tomorrow. Simon, mate, it's been a fantastic, well, just over an hour, but it was well worth it, indeed. And mate, well, I mean, we've been talking about having you on for ages, and now you've done it. You're on, so you better become a regular, I think. That seems to be the feedback. So that we're having.
Well, if everyone's happy to have me, I'd be very, very glad. And if there's anyone that has got an idea of what they'd like me to do, then obviously send some ideas over and I'll put something bespoke together. But I really appreciate you all taking time out your precious evenings to listen to me talk. So thank you.
We've also had Alan with us. I think a few others as well from the US. So they've gone back to work, whereas we get to finish for the night, mate. But
well, thanks, guys.
yeah, so that's a good one. A few quick. I'm just going to quickly scan the reminders for everybody. Sign. So if you haven't got involved with the Big Photo Academy e-zine, then if you can download that now from the magazine page on the Photographer Academy. The March issue, so not the one that's going to be coming next, but next, the March issue is all about lighting, and we're going to have some exclusive reveals from some of the lighting testers that have had these new lights in there as well. So more fantastic images to share with you, along with Mark's from the dance shoot. And as Mark said, and as Simon said, all of the films that we've made ready for these lights with Simon and Mark are now available from today on the Photographer Academy. So if you remember, you can go and view them straight away, as well as the links are all, you can find the links from our Facebook page as well on there. So go and check them out. There's quite a few from Simon, looking at all the different areas of the lights, as well as a really in-depth product overview. So you can see Simon taking you through the lights there. And then we've got Mark's dance shoot, so you can have an insight into that with the images as well. But we'll be sharing, as I said, those images in next month's, in the March edition of the magazine, not the next one, but the one after on that. Get involved with us on Instagram so we can get you in the magazine. So tag us at TPA Photo, and of course use the hashtag, and then follow us. And a huge selection of those images are added to the site, to the magazine each month, and then our readers issue at least 2 of those a year that we've been doing. If you do want to upgrade your account to a full business account on the Academy, or join if you're not already a member, then you can get £100 off going through thephotographeracademy.com/business. Will take you to that unique exclusive offer, webinar offer on that. As I said at the beginning, if you're looking to start or breathe life or increase sales or profits or products or marketing into an existing business or start a new one, and you'd like more information on our experience program that is changing businesses across the UK and Ireland, get in touch with us at the studio or email our business development manager, Laura, at theexperience.co.uk. We do drop the E in experience, so it's not one at the beginning. Or give us a call and we can arrange that for you. And then, I forgot to put a slide in, but if you're interested in business, Mark and I will be back on at 12 o'clock tomorrow lunchtime with a live at lunch. The registration links can be found on the Photographer Academy live events page or on the Facebook page. So you can join us at 12 o'clock tomorrow for a live at lunch business hour. And the next Photographer Academy live photo critique will be Friday night, 28th of February at 7 o'clock. So if you haven't already submitted an image, if you remember, you can submit an image for critique, or if you'd just like to join us and watch and go through the critique, then again, you can register from the live events page, or you'll find the links on Facebook. Simon, mate, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been we had lots of positive feedback, and we'll definitely be having you back. And as Simon said, so
Thank you very much.
Any suggestions what you'd like him to cover, that would be brilliant. I was just checking the question. Have I missed anything? Is February somewhere different? Not sure. Or is that not out yet? Oh, no, sorry. Okay, so about the magazine. No, there'll be another edition of the magazine that should be out by the end of the week. And then the lighting issue will be the next one. So there is a new edition of the magazine coming out. I believe it should go live this week. Once it's live, you'll see it on there. Simon, that's it, mate. Thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. So if you do want to join us on those webinars, find the links on the live events page on the Academy or on our Facebook page. Simon, I'll speak to you soon, mate. Thanks, everybody. Good night. Take care.
Cheers, everyone.